Hey everyone, it's Greg Tastic here, and I wanted to make a video on a topic that I had very strong opinions about. And I watch HappyConsoleGamer. For those of you who know him or don't know him, I'll put a link to everything that I'm talking about in the description. But I watch HappyConsoleGamer, and he did a video in response to a video that ReviewTechUSA did, and basically they were both going into the debate about PCs versus consoles. And I never understood this because obviously from watching my channel, you could tell that I game on a PC and I love PCs but when I was growing up, I only had consoles because the PCs were for our family and for schoolwork and research and internet and stuff like that. And it was basically, agreed upon, or not agreed upon, but like forced upon by our parents that they were not for gaming. If we wanted to game, we always had, a Super Nintendo, a Nintendo 64. We always had a dedicated console for gaming, and the computer was supposed to be left free for work-related stuff. Now, I never, so basically I have my feet in both sides here because I obviously love PCs, and a topic that we don't even need to get into in this video is, yes, PCs are more powerful. If you build a PC and put enough money into it, it's going to be more powerful than a console. That is obviously very simple. But what I don't get is why in different markets, and I'm going to use cars as an example, even though I'm not a car person, it's, basically accepted that people have different needs and different wants in what they buy. So a console is a PC, basically. It's, not a PC that you build or could put an operating system on like a normal PC, but it is a device with, CPU and graphics and storage and et cetera, and you can modify them and put an OS on them depending on which one it is and how easily hackable it is. So a console basically is a PC. So I don't understand why people just don't accept that people are looking for different things. When someone goes shopping for a car, they really are just looking for something that's going to get them to point A to point B for the amount of money that they have to spend. And they're not looking to build the car themselves or to get the fastest car at all costs or for the best price to performance ratio. Really, they're going out with a budget. Whether, it's a new car or a used car, they're going out with a budget, and they're looking for what they can afford and what best matches up with what they need. I don't understand why other people can't understand that consoles fill a niche, whether you want to admit it or not, that PCs don't always do a great job of filling. So let's give it to PCs and say that they're more powerful, because if you build a PC to be more powerful, it will be. But there's three things that I wanted to look at when it came to consoles where I could understand why they exist and why people buy them and why PC isn't always the greatest thing. So the first thing is price to performance ratio. And the thing is that while consoles are not going to be as powerful as PCs, especially if you put the money into it, the performance you get out of a console for the price, the amount of money that you spend, is not a crazy big disparity. If you look on Reddit right now, there's a PC Master Race subreddit where they keep builds up for how you want to build a computer if you don't want to buy a console. And the build to match a console is around $350, which, depending on the day of the week that you're buying a console, is either right around the price of a console or a little higher than the price of a console or a little lower. The build to destroy a console is $450, which, with the exception of the Xbox One, is more expensive than you would be spending on a console. And even though I'm not going to get into it this video, I would rather get into it in a different video I don't think that a Pentium processor and a 1050 Ti are going to necessarily match what the Xbox One X is going to do. But let's see that come out first, and then we'll see how it goes. But that leads me to my big problem, is those are the two biggest components that they suggest in these builds are the Pentium 4560. I hope I wrote that down correctly. I was just looking. Pentium 4560, which first of all is like is a nice processor, a nice computer, but it's a $60 computer that's up to like $80 now, and may go up even higher as time goes on, and or maybe discontinued, and that's a whole nother subject on its own. But my problem with suggesting someone that processor is, yes, it's going to help you fit the price of the build, but to me, suggesting someone buy a dual core processor as an alternative to buying a console because, computers are better, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, to me, if you're going to build a computer instead of buying a console, you shouldn't even bother with that type of CPU, because it's to me it's just as short-sighted as buying a console, because in a couple of years you're gonna have to replace that most likely. The other part is the 1050 Ti, which is basically half the price of a console these days, or a third of the price of a console at your best, and against like the Xbox One and the PS4, it probably will perform similarly. But if the Xbox One X is going to come out and run, how do I want to put this? I'm interested in the Xbox One X coming out and doing a benchmarking test of the Xbox One X versus the 1050 Ti, playing Forza 6 and seeing how that goes. And that's talking about the same price to performance ratio, spending the same amount of money. The other thing is that to get that better performance out of your computer, you basically need to spend more than what they are suggesting. The price for these builds doesn't include a keyboard and mouse, doesn't include a controller, which you could say, okay, it doesn't need to include a monitor or a TV because you wouldn't get that with a console, but you would get a controller with a console, and so that's extra money that you have to spend. And then the real benefits to me from having a PC versus a console come from things like having a video card that's better than a 1050 Ti, like a 1060 or an RX 480 or 580 at minimum if you want to, or 470, 570 if you want to game in 1080p. And things like FreeSync monitors or I think it's G-Sync for NVIDIA. I have a FreeSync monitor because AMD's cheaper. Stuff like that gives you the actual benefits over, you're talking about 60 frames per second, you're talking about having a syncing technology that's going to get rid of the, I forget what you call it, keep your game running smoothly is what we'll say. These things are going to cost more money and put you at a price way higher than a console. Not to say it's not worth it, but the benefits of the PC are going to cost you more money in the long run. Alright, the second point I have is convenience. Everybody makes these arguments that setting up a PC is just as easy as getting a console. And now that you buy consoles and they're connected to the internet and they need to update, it's totally even, because now consoles need to update too. You can't just stick a cartridge in it and play it. No, that's not even close. With a console, you don't have to worry about installing an OS. You don't need to worry about drivers. You don't need to worry about finding what client you want to buy your games from, whether it's Steam or GOG or Origin or Ubisoft, whatever they call their shit. Like, you don't need to worry about those things. Those things are set up for you already. And it may not seem like a big deal to you, but it is. Like, those are things that you don't need to set up. if I install a game on Steam, it's always going to want to install Visual Studio and all this extra crap before I play the game. If I want to play Counter-Strike Go on my PC, I need to know how to use a console with a controller. I need to know how to use a console command and set that up. Some games don't support controllers at all. Some games have controller support and the buttons are mismapped. Like, it's not very convenient for someone who wants to use a controller, and you might say, well, keyboard and mouse is better, why are you using a controller? But going back to cars, it's like, not everybody wants to drive manual. Some people want to drive automatic, and that's a choice they are free to make. So yeah, it's better now. PCs have become easier to use a controller with, but it's still not perfect. Like when you play a console and the controller for the most part just works, as opposed to you need to map buttons in Steam or do all this extra stuff to get a controller working properly. And it's just a lot of work that may seem simple to you because you're used to using a computer, but for people who aren't used to it, for a soccer mom, like buying a console for her 8-year-old kid to play games, like, these things aren't going to come so simple. Another thing is when you go to the store, you just buy it. It's ready. You go. You don't have to build it yourself. You don't have to pay someone else to build it. You don't have to look at different configurations and see which one's right for you. You have 3 choices: Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft, and then Microsoft and Sony fucked it all up and gave you 2 choices, but the choices are infinitely less than a computer. And the other thing is, when you go to the store and look at the games, you could very easily tell which games are going to work on your console or not. Whereas in a PC, you may buy a game that doesn't work on your PC or doesn't play as smoothly as you expected it to. Whereas console, if you buy a disc that's branded Xbox and put it into Xbox, it's going to work. The other big thing about convenience that consoles has over PCs is the size. You're buying a $300 console and it's small. And yes, you can make a PC to be small, but you're going to have trouble. It comes into the price. Like, if price is not a factor, you could do whatever you want with a PC. But when you consider price, it limits the factors of what you can do. If you're going to make a small PC, then you're going to spend more money on a case, and you're going to have to look into getting a mini ITX board and maybe a smaller power supply and all this extra stuff that is not as easy as go to the store, buy a console, it's small, it fits in my media center, that's it. And the last thing that I want to talk about is just knowledge. What people know. Like I said before, not everyone is going to know how to build a computer. Not everyone is going to know what parts to mix and match together. And you say it's simple, and it's all plug and play. It's easy to put a computer together. People who say that I feel like are gypping themselves on giving themselves credit on what they know how to do. Because, to say like the cars, that would be like going to your mechanic and getting your brakes changed and him laughing at you and saying, oh, it's so easy to change brakes. You just do this and this and this and this, and then you're done. Like, people are specialized in different things. Not everyone knows what the parts of a computer are. Not everyone knows how to put them together. Not everyone knows how to fix them if they break. And not everyone wants to know. It may seem simple, and it may be easy, and it may be nothing for you to wrap your head around it, but it may be difficult for other people. And other people may not want to learn it. Other people may just want to go to the store, buy something, and have it work for the most part, and not have to think about how to build it, how to fix it. If a console breaks, you just send it back to the store. Then there's other small little factors like what Nintendo does. Like, obviously you can't build yourself a Nintendo Switch, So that's really like just an extra point though, is like some consoles do stuff that you actually can't even do with a PC. And yeah, you could hook your Wii U controller up to a PC, but like that Wii U controller wouldn't exist without Nintendo making the Wii U. You understand? So, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not even trying to argue these as negatives against the PC. I'm just trying to have people come to an understanding. You know, you got to look at other people's point of views and understand why things may be easier for them a certain way, even though it's easier for you, or you justify it a different way. Everybody in life has their own levels of importance on things and what they want to do and what they don't want to do. And for a lot of people, consoles, between the price that they cost to just be able to put it in the living room and play it, like, they're not worried about all this PC stuff. Some dad who's buying his son something for Christmas to play games on probably doesn't even know you can play it on a computer, isn't worried about it. And yeah, like, it's good to tell people about it and let them know. And if people, you know, decide they want to go that route, it's great that we're there to help them and stuff like that. But if they don't want to, they don't want to. That doesn't mean like one way is better than the other. You know, not everybody could afford a Lamborghini, and not everyone could. People are buying Hyundais. Hyundais are like the consoles of video gaming. The consoles of cars, I should say. Who the hell would want to buy a Hyundai? I don't know. Someone's buying it because I guess they have warranties or something. But besides for that, why wouldn't you want to buy a better car? Just something to think about. See you guys next time.